Hello everyone, and welcome to our session today, where I will be presenting to you our Erasmus Plus project, which is called FAnTASIA, and it is about the exciting fairy tale science augmented. So what is the aim of this project? It is a European project, and it aims at developing an educational package, and I'll show you all the contents in a while. It's an educational package for the teaching of some basic scientific concepts and skills. So who can use it? Anyone. But we need the support of adults for the apps. Where you can use this? In a class, in science centers, at home. So feel free to download their apps and look at our website through the QR code here on your right-hand side, and go to our website and you will find more information about the FAnTASIA apps and where you can use them. We have 3 countries participating in the pilot. So we have schools from Sweden, Greece, and Italy, and we're going to evaluate the project, and we have a specific impact assessment exercise. The main partners countries within this project is Ireland, Greece, and Italy. We have UCD from Ireland, Clever Books from Ireland, we have University of Aegean from Greece, and CNR organization from Italy. So what, where, and how? What is our aim? Our aim is to develop an educational package for the teaching of some basic teaching scientific concepts and skills in primary school. It will be in such a form that it can be easily used by anyone, regardless whether they're teachers, parents, or guardians, and regardless of their training. It's very simple. You will just have to upload our apps from Google Store or iOS at the Apple Store, and you can try to figure out these basic concepts and skills in science. It can be used independently in class or at home with the support of an adult. The educational material will be implemented in science classrooms as well as at homes and science centers. We have participating EU countries, and it will be evaluated in regards to its educational objectives. Finally, the impact of this project on the target groups, which are primary school students, as well as the potential impact on individuals and organizations outside our partnership, will also be evaluated. So which concepts are we working on? We're working on the shape of the Earth. We're working on the day and night concept, and also whether some things float, whereas others sink. What do we know about these concepts? In teaching approaches, we take into considerations the students' initial knowledge and their difficulties in acquiring the scientific ideas. So have a look here at the 3 different mental models of the Earth. We have the scientific one, which, as we know, is a sphere. There are synthetic models as well. Is the flattened sphere, a hollow sphere, or a dual Earth? Of course, there are some initial models where you have your disk Earth or the rectangular Earth. In terms of theoretical framework, have a look at different kids' drawings. We normally ask kids what they think about Earth. Some of them think that it's flat, some of them think that's dual Earth, and you can see the last one here. Also, there is different mental models in terms of day and night. What do we ask children about the day-night cycle? Is that it's day now, how will night come? And where does the sun go at night? Then they make a drawing, the Play-Doh model of the Earth and the sun during the day. And we ask them to show how night will come. What should be done to have day-night all the time? If the Earth or sun moves, what would happen if they stop moving? So we investigate different concepts and what is the consequence of different changes. We also look at mental models of floating. And why do we use the fairy tale? Well, in science teaching, we focus on activating the minds of the students, and usually we kind of neglect emotions. And fairy tales and storytelling have been used for centuries around us. They're a very effective teaching tool, mainly because they activate emotions. So FAnTASIA project is actually combining the storytelling in a scientific method, and we're also using augmented reality technology so we can bring objects to life. So our fairy tale in FAnTASIA for science. What do we have in the educational packets? We have a fairy tale, first of all, and it describes the adventures of a young illiterate person who starts a trip around the earth in order to explain what seems to be a mystery to him or her, namely the explanation of the day and night cycle. Now, during this trip, Yanis will have to solve scientific problems by conducting specific observations and do some experiments using simple materials, and has discussions with people who he will meet during this journey. So step by step, Yanis will discover the answers to the questions concerning specific laws of nature. The fairy tale will be in written form, and we have it available in our digital repository, and it's also accompanied by a recorded form with soundtrack and sound effects. We have created scenarios for the educational use of the fairy tale, and there is specific descriptions, and there is a training material for the teachers and the parents that we have available. A discussion of the difficulties that students have in learning specific concepts and a simplified version of the theoretical framework underlying the proposed activities that we have within the project, and the discussion of the aim of the proposed educational activities, they're all provided. Therefore, educators and adults will be able to help the students that participate in the project to overcome these obstacles. We also have associated drama and music kinetic activities that are highly connected with the story and they make the process of learning really amusing and fun and new knowledge, which otherwise would have been emotionally indifferent and will become emotionally stable now and enduring. With augmented reality 3D content that we have created that has not yet become a reality in many scientific domains, it will facilitate this effectiveness and efficient use of digital content through the open source availability. The educational material will be suitable by the students ranging in the age between 5 and 12 years old. So are you in primary school? Give it a go and have a look at our apps from our website and tell us what you think. The results of the schools and the evaluation that are participating within our pilots, as I said, it's Italy, Greece, and Sweden. We will manage to quantify the effect of the implementation of this educational package for the users, and it will also be available in different languages. So how the fairy tale was constructed? We have a story, we have the music, the scenarios with the pedagogical targets, we have our illustrations, we have the augmented reality implementations of the scenes, and finally, we have the specific drama and kinesthetic activities that can take place at home, in the class, or in the science center. You can find the story to our digital repository, and you can find the link here on your screen, or you can follow the QR code at the beginning here of the presentation. But let's go and listen just chapter 1, just to give you an idea of what actually is happening at the beginning of the story. And Dr. Christos Ioannidis will tell us all about it.
On the road to the Sun Palace. Where is the Sun Palace? Once upon a time, there was a young boy called Yanis. Yanis had never been to school. There was no school near his small village. He lived on the mountain with his family and their sheep. Every morning, they took their flock to graze in the fields. He would spend all day with his brother and his father. He watched their sheep, grazing fresh grass on the slopes and the meadows of the mountain. He spent endless hours in the open air observing the mysteries of nature. He knew a lot of things about sheep and dogs, about wild animals, as well as wolves, foxes, jackals, eagles. All animals were his friends, and the trees were his brothers. He also knew all kinds of herbs because his grandmother had taught him a lot about their healing powers. He loved to learn by observing and asking the older ones. Late in the evenings, his greatest joy was to listen to fairy tales from his grandfather, sitting by the fireplace. His people and nature were his school. There was something that impressed him deeply and puzzled him at the same time. The journey of the sun. Where does the sun go when night comes? What happens far in the west behind the mountain tops? Where does the sun hide? Again, at dawn, how does the sun rise, all shining behind the top of the eastern mountains? He tried hard to find an explanation. He asked others, but nobody could give him a good answer. No one in his little village had ever been to school. People there could hardly read or write. Yanis, however, definitely wanted to learn about the sun. Often, he sat and gazed at the sun hiding slowly behind the mountains in the west among the purple clouds, until the sky darkened and turned deep blue and the stars appeared. Sometimes he would leave his bed before daybreak, step outside their little house, and wait for the sun to emerge. The mountains in the east lit up slowly. The rays of the sun would drive darkness away, and all nature would wake up. It seemed to him that he saw horses wrapped up in flames, taking the sun and driving him up in the sky from east to west. At the end of this journey, a golden palace waited for the sun, just like in grandfather's fairy tales. There, the sun would rest after his long journey in the sky.
And this was chapter 1, and there is plenty more for you to listen on our digital repository. For teachers and parents, you can also find the self-training manual that has all the theoretical framework available, the teaching scenarios, and the different kinetic and drama activities you can follow at home or you can follow at school. Please have a look at our repository online, and if you have any questions, do not hesitate to contact us. In terms of the augmented reality with fairy tale, we have the augmented reality science and the engineering behind the development of this project. And here we focus on the STEM subjects. We're using Vuforia for the development of the apps. And you will need to scan the pages of the book once you start your apps. Here the children will have to select the specific components and try to check by playing with the app and by moving the different components to see whether they will float or not. So can we help Yanis? And you can make a hypothesis and you can put the 3 big materials in the sink. This is the wooden door. You can try the metal or the glass or the wooden stick. Only some big and heavy objects. Can we help Yanis again? So you try all the different options in order to test your hypothesis. And the students will keep on trying different experiments and trying different hypotheses. And if you pick the wrong object, then you will get the right message. In this hypothesis, the objects that were made out of wood would float anyway. Remember, you have to scan the pages in the book in order to activate the augmented reality objects. So in these experiments, the whole objects could float. Then the student makes a different hypothesis. And within this experiment, the student can see that all the objects will sink in this final case. And we have created different scenarios depending on the experiments that we want to follow within the scientific concepts. So as you can see, first, the student would have to make them hollow. And then they would have to make them solid and then compare. So we have made a number of different 3D objects, and they are available if you want to create your own apps in order to reuse them from our repository. This is our repository, and you can find them on this link. In order to assess the impact of this project and evaluate the pedagogical value, there is different tasks that we have associated. First of all, the augmented reality and innovative process for teaching and learning science. So we have linked the different scenarios with the pedagogical approaches. The second task involves collecting the data for evaluating the effect of the intervention, and at the end, designing a web-based tool for data collection and visualization. And this is where we would require the teachers or parents to add the data after and during the intervention of the project. All for listening. Please go to our website by following this QR code, pointing your camera of your phone. And if you have any questions, do not hesitate to contact us. Thank you all.